Amara James is a successful CEO, confident in her strength and status, but even she was unprepared for what awaited her in the luxurious hotel. The manager refused her a room, not knowing that she was one of the most influential women in business. How she responded shocked even the most seasoned professionals. But it all began with something small, a simple attempt to get what was rightfully hers. Amara James looked flawless, not too provocative, but with an elegance that spoke volumes about her status. She picked up her soft leather bag, straightened her suit, and stepped into the luxurious hotel lobby. In her hands were just the reservation and documents for a business meeting, which was supposed to be an important milestone in her career. Everything about her appearance was designed for one thing: cool confidence. But beneath that confidence was another truth, the one she faced every day. Being a black woman at the top of the business world wasn't always easy. When she approached the reception desk, the young manager greeted her with a glance that immediately struck her as unpleasant. His eyes reflected a mix of doubt and disdain, as if he had already decided that she couldn't possibly be who she claimed to be. "Good afternoon. How can I help you?" he said, shaking his head slightly, his tone almost uninterested. He checked her reservation, and his gaze froze. It was that pause, the kind where you can feel that someone is hiding something. "I have a reservation for a luxury suite," Amara said, keeping her voice calm, though she could feel the tension rising inside. The manager glanced at the screen again, and his expression shifted. He scrolled through something on the computer, as if trying to find a way to send her away. "I'm sorry, but we don't have any suites available in your category. Perhaps we can offer you a standard room," he said, his displeasure clear. Amara felt her hands tighten. It was all too familiar. Those small but distinct signs of racism she had encountered before. She couldn't just ignore this. "I booked a suite," she said firmly, but still politely. "Could I speak to your supervisor?" The manager paused, but didn't hurry to leave. His gaze became even more evaluative. He stepped aside, lips barely pressed together. "I'm not refusing you, we're just double-checking. There might be a mistake," he said, avoiding her eyes. He returned to his desk, continuing to type away, and Amara felt the atmosphere around her tighten. The other guests had started to notice. Some were whispering, others openly staring. In this hotel, she was not just a woman. She was a black woman, and it showed. Amara tried to stay composed. Her gaze drifted toward the glass doors, where a brightly lit sign for the upcoming business event she was there for could be seen. But it couldn't drown out the feeling. They just didn't expect her. She was being viewed not as a client, but as an outsider, someone to be ignored. A few minutes later, the manager returned with an older man in a business suit, who seemed to have no idea what was going on. "Sorry for the delay," he said, briefly glancing at Amara. "We're just double-checking. It's a misunderstanding." But Amara's patience snapped. The calm facade disappeared. "This isn't a misunderstanding," she said firmly. "This is racism." The assistant manager flinched slightly, but quickly regained his composure. "We've got everything under control. We'll resolve this for you," he mumbled, his voice cold and almost inaudible. Amara could feel her inner tension mounting. This wasn't just an incident. It was a moment where she couldn't allow her composure to slip and become the woman they wanted to see. The one who was silent, unsure. Her gaze met the assistant's. He saw the fire in her eyes, one he hadn't expected. But was he ready to face it? Amara felt her blood boiling, but she kept it in check. She knew that in situations like this, every move mattered. She couldn't afford to react emotionally. She had to stay focused. The assistant manager left, promising to resolve the issue. Amara stood at the reception, feeling the eyes of the others on her. Some guests were sneaking glances, others whispering to each other. Her presence had turned into something strange, something foreign. She could feel it. Her phone rang. Amara picked it up, never losing her composure. "We're ready to sign the contract," said her partner, his voice tense, but hopeful. Amara quickly discussed the details and ended the call. As soon as she put the phone down, she noticed the manager returning with a woman in a business suit. She was older, clearly not someone who typically dealt with such matters, but her gaze was direct and confident. Amara immediately recognized her as the senior manager, and judging by her gestures, this wasn't the first time she had encountered such a situation. "Ms. James," she said, her expression emotionless, "we apologize for the inconvenience. We'll verify the information and offer you the best option." Amara couldn't stay silent. It was too obvious, too familiar. She suppressed the urge to give in. "You're not verifying the reservation," she said firmly. "You're verifying me. This is racism, and I'm not going to stay quiet." The woman froze, her face stone cold, but the silence that followed spoke louder than any words. The assistant looked noticeably uneasy, but didn't dare respond. Amara surveyed the hotel lobby. She knew that they were all watching her. This was for them. She took a step forward, calm but resolute. "I will make sure this situation doesn't go unnoticed," she said, her voice now sounding like a warning. The senior manager nodded, her expression growing more serious. The assistant took a step back, trying to conceal his embarrassment. "We will resolve your issue," she repeated, this time with a tense note in her voice. Amara sighed. She knew this wasn't just about verifying her reservation. This was a game, and she had to show her strength. A few minutes later, a man in a sharp suit, someone higher up, approached Amara at the desk. He was older than the others and exuded confidence. "Ms. James," he said, stepping up to the reception. "I'm the general manager. I apologize for what happened. We're ready to offer you the suite, as promised." Amara looked at him but didn't relax. It all seemed too fast, too convenient. She felt like there was something hidden behind his words, an expectation that she would accept the apology and walk away. But she couldn't. "I understand you're trying to smooth things over," she said coldly. "But this isn't a mistake. It's bias." The general manager paused for a moment. His gaze sharpened, but he pressed on. "We value our guests, and I'm sure this was just a misunderstanding," he said with mild irritation, trying to justify the situation. Amara exhaled, feeling her patience wearing thin. She had heard these excuses too many times before, but now she couldn't stay silent. "This isn't a misunderstanding," she answered firmly. "It's racism, and I'm not going to turn a blind eye." The general manager tried once more to ease the situation, but his confidence was clearly faltering. He stepped back, and Amara could tell that he didn't like where this was heading. But she knew this wasn't just her fight. It was a moment when she had to raise her voice. With a deep breath, Amara pulled out her phone and began recording. Her voice was calm but decisive. "I want you to know that this situation will not go unnoticed," she said, looking directly into the camera. "This incident will be known by everyone." The general manager turned pale, and his assistant froze. They tried to convince her to stop, but it was too late. The video was uploaded to social media, and now her words could reach thousands, if not millions. This was a moment that couldn't be undone. "We'll do everything we can to fix this," he muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. Amara put the phone away, her gaze now steady and calm. Now it all depended on how they would respond. As soon as the video hit the internet, the situation took a turn. Within minutes, the first comments, likes, and shares began rolling in. Amara watched as her post went viral. People were supporting her, commenting, and sharing their own experiences. It was happening at lightning speed. Within an hour, the video had become viral. Soon, thanks to the growing attention on social media, journalists began arriving at the hotel. The general manager and his team realized the situation had spiraled out of control. Amara sat in her room, but she didn't feel relieved. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. A few hours later, her phone rang. It was the same partner she had spoken with earlier, now in shock. "Amara, what did you do? This has shaken the entire market. Everyone knows about this incident. I'm getting calls from major media. This is on the brink of a scandal." His voice was frantic. Amara paused. For a moment, she considered compromising, apologizing to the hotel and stopping the conflict. But she knew that in situations like this, there could be no retreat. It wasn't just her personal matter. This affected everyone who faced similar challenges every day. There was a long silence before she spoke again. "I didn't start this fight," she said coldly, "but I will finish it. On my terms." The world was watching, and so was the hotel.